Let me tell you now, you will want more of this. Subscribe to Sticky Finance right now, because what you are about to hear is something most people go their entire lives without realizing. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. There's a lie running through your life right now. Not a small one, not a harmless one. A lie so deeply embedded in the way you think about money that you have never once stopped to question it. You absorbed it before you could read. You heard it from people who loved you. You watched it play out in the home you grew up in. And because everyone around you believed it too, your parents, your teachers, your neighbors, every adult who ever gave you financial advice, it never occurred to you that it might be wrong. The lie is this, that money is something you earn, spend, and try to save what is left. That is not how money works. That is not how wealth is built. And that single belief, passed down from generation to generation like a family recipe nobody ever thought to question, is the reason most hardworking, intelligent, disciplined people never get ahead no matter how much they earn. They work harder. They get raises. They try to budget. They cut expenses. And they end up in the same place decade after decade, wondering what they are missing. What they are missing is this. They're playing the wrong game with the wrong rulebook, and nobody ever told them another rulebook existed. But here is what makes this lie so uniquely devastating. It does not feel like a lie. It feels like common sense. It feels like responsibility. It feels like exactly what a reasonable, mature adult is supposed to do with money. And that is precisely why it has survived for so long and spread so far. The most dangerous lies are the ones that feel like wisdom. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you is not financial advice. It is archaeology. We're going to dig up the exact moment this lie was planted in your mind, trace exactly how it grew, and then we're going to replace it with something that actually works. Think back to the very first moment you ever became aware that money existed. Not a lecture, not a lesson from school, just a raw, unfiltered moment from childhood. Maybe it was watching a parent count coins at the end of the month with that specific tension in their face, the kind of tension children absorb without understanding. Maybe it was hearing, "We cannot afford that," so many times that it stopped sounding like a statement about this week and started sounding like a permanent truth about your family and your future. Maybe it was watching someone work themselves into complete exhaustion and still come up short. Maybe it was the specific silence that filled a room when a bill arrived, or the particular way certain conversations stopped the moment you walked in. Whatever that first moment was, your brain did exactly what brains are designed to do in childhood. It observed. It recorded. It built a model of how the world works based on the patterns it saw repeated around it. And the model it built around money said something like this. Money is scarce. Money is difficult. Money is something that happens to you rather than something you consciously direct and deploy. That model became your operating system for every financial decision you have made since. And here's what makes it so powerful and so invisible. You did not choose it. Nobody set you down and installed it deliberately. It arrived the way language arrives, the way accent arrives, the way values arrive. Through immersion, through repetition, through the slow accumulation of observed reality until it stops feeling like a perspective and starts feeling like the truth. You have been making financial decisions from inside that operating system ever since. Not consciously, not by choice, but every time you hesitate to invest because it feels risky, every time you spend on yourself and feel immediate guilt, every time you work longer hours instead of building smarter systems, every time you save carefully but never actually build. That is the childhood model running the show. Not you, the model. This is where things get dangerous. Because you cannot upgrade a system you do not know is installed. And you cannot question a belief you have never recognized as a belief. Now here is where the lie gets its real power. Because it was not just planted in your home. It was reinforced everywhere you went. School taught you how to be an employee. It taught you to follow instructions, meet deadlines, perform for evaluation, and trade your time and effort for a reward, which in school was a grade and in adulthood became a salary. It was extraordinarily good at this. Years and years of training, perfectly designed to produce people who show up, work hard, and collect what they are given. But school never taught you how money multiplies. It never taught you the difference between an asset, something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability, something that takes money out. It never taught you that the people who built the schools, the companies, the economic systems you were being prepared to participate in, those people were not following the same set of rules they were teaching you. They were playing a completely different game, with completely different rules. In their game, money is not something you earn and spend and try to save the remainder. It is something you deploy. It is a tool, a resource, a force that, when directed correctly, works while you sleep, grows while you rest, and builds while you're busy doing something entirely different. In their game, the goal was never to maximize income. The goal was to build things that generate income independent of your direct labor. Investments, equity, ownership, systems. Nobody handed you that rulebook. You were not supposed to have it. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply the logical outcome of a system that works well when most people stay inside it. Here is the open loop I want you to sit with as we go deeper. If there are two sets of rules for money, one that keeps you working and one that builds wealth, who decided which set you're going to learn? And more importantly, now that you know both sets exist, which one do you choose to play by going forward? Let me make this completely concrete, because this is the part where it moves from idea to reality. Person A grows up in a home where the financial model is earn, spend, save what is left. They internalize this completely because it is all they see. As an adult, they get a job, earn a salary, spend on the life they have built, and attempt to save the remainder. Some months they manage it. Most months, life gets in the way. They work harder, earn more, lifestyle quietly expands to match, and the savings never quite reach the number they imagined. 20 years pass. They're not broken. They're not careless. They are not failures by any conventional measure. But they are not free. They're exactly where the model said they would be, dependent on a salary, one bad month away from stress, with retirement feeling like a distant rumor rather than a real destination. Person B either grows up with a different model or encounters one early enough to rewire. They understand from the beginning that a salary is an input, not a destination. They know that every dollar they receive is a soldier that can either be sent to work or sent home to sit. They build assets, things that generate value and income independent of their labor. They understand that the goal has never been to save what is left after spending. The goal is to build things that produce money whether they show up or not. Over the same 20 years, the same general income, the same country, the same world. Person B's life looks radically different. Not because they were smarter, not because they had more luck, because the game they were playing had a different endgame. The difference was never the income. It was the instructions. But here is the part that will make you genuinely uncomfortable if you let it land properly. The lie was not planted by malicious people. The people who passed it to you were not trying to hold you back. They were doing the most loving thing they knew how to do. They were giving you everything they had. The map they handed you was the same map handed to them by people who loved them, who received it from people who loved them. A complete and unbroken chain of well-meaning human beings handing each other the same flawed navigation system across generations and calling it wisdom. The system did not need villains. It only needed the absence of questions. And questioning the financial beliefs you were raised with is extraordinarily difficult because it feels like betrayal. It feels like looking at the people who sacrificed for you and saying they were wrong. And most people would rather stay lost with a familiar map than admit the map was never right to begin with. So they keep walking. They keep working. They keep trying harder to get somewhere a wrong map can never take them. And the decades pass. The moment you recognize the map is wrong is not a disaster. It is a door. A wrong map can be replaced. A flawed operating system can be upgraded. And a lie, once you can see it clearly for exactly what it is, loses every single piece of power it ever held over you. So here is the replacement. Here is what the real map actually says. Your income is an input, not a destination. The goal is never to maximize what you earn in isolation. The goal is to maximize what your money does after it arrives in your hands. Every dollar that comes in has a job to do. Most people let their money wander into spending without instruction. The wealthy assign every dollar a specific role before it has the chance to disappear. Assets are the only scoreboard that matters. Not your salary, not your job title, not the car in your driveway, or the size of your apartment. The only number that tells you where you actually stand is how much of your money is working independently of your direct labor. Investments that grow, properties that generate rent, businesses that run without you, anything that produces value while you sleep. That is the real measure. Everything else is decoration. The wealthy do not save what is left. They redirect first. When money arrives, it does not sit waiting to be spent. It moves immediately into vehicles that grow it, into assets that compound, into positions that strengthen over time. The lifestyle does not determine the budget. The financial commitments determine the lifestyle. The order of operations is the entire game. Time in the game destroys every other variable. Not intelligence, not timing, not finding the perfect investment at the perfect moment. Simply staying in the game long enough for compounding to do what is always done. Transform small, consistent, patient inputs into outcomes that look extraordinary from the outside, but are just mathematics from the inside. And finally, proximity is a financial strategy most people never use deliberately. The people you spend the most time around determine the ceiling of what you believe is financially possible. If every person in your immediate world operates from the old map will always feel like reality no matter how much you read or watch or learn. Physical proximity to people who are playing the wealth-building game rewires what feels normal, what feels achievable, what feels like a reasonable expectation for your own life. Here is the turn. Most people spend their entire existence trying to win a game they were never taught the real rules to. They are not lazy. They are not unintelligent. They are not unlucky. They're simply navigating with a map that was never designed to take them where they actually want to go. And the most heartbreaking part is that they blame themselves for not arriving. You are not behind because you failed. You are behind because you were handed the wrong instructions on the first day and never had a reason to question them. The lie was never really about money. It was about keeping people productive, compliant, and economically contained within a range that serves the system. Not through force, not through obvious deception, through the quiet, invisible, multi-generational power of an unchallenged belief. You're the first person in your line who gets to see it clearly. Not because you are exceptional, but because you are here, paying attention at the exact moment the map changed hands. The people who built their wealth from nothing, truly from nothing, did not do it because they were given more. They did it because they stopped believing the lie sooner than everyone else around them. They questioned the map when questioning it was uncomfortable. They chose the second rulebook when the first one was all anyone around them knew. That choice is available to you right now. Today. Not when you earn more. Not when the timing is better. Not when everything is perfectly aligned. The map is wrong. You know that now. And knowing it is the beginning of absolutely everything that comes next. Share this with someone in your life who is working hard and wondering why the finish line never gets closer. You might be handing them the exact thing that changes the entire direction of their financial life. And subscribe to Sticky Finance. Every week we go deeper, pull back another curtain, and hand you another piece of the rulebook they never wanted you to have. We will see you in the next one.